Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So today it's a new CGC 9.8 market update video. Yeah, I got a bunch of 9.8s and some prices to go over here. Because if you're actively buying CGC 9.8 comic books, one of the best things you can do is just know the fair market value for the 9.8 that you might want, get more pricing information, and way less of a chance you'll ever overpay when you get more information. And because there's always sellers on eBay, you know, specifically trying to get like 50% or 100% more than the fair market value. So you really want to know the fair value, and a lot of times it's going to take a couple weeks or maybe even a month to get the 9.8 that you want for the right price. But let's get right into all the prices here. Yeah, there's a 22 CGC 9.8s to talk about today. All right, first one's a pretty hot book. Yeah, it's an Aliens #1 in the first print in the CGC 9.8. Saw this one sell on eBay for $1,675.03. Yeah, it was in an auction, so that's kind of good to see, just in the last week, I think it was here. This is a pretty rare one in the CGC 9.8. There's less than 100 of them, I'm pretty sure, in the first print. You know, this book's really heated up with Aliens and Predator it was announced, you know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago that the MCU Marvel has the Aliens and Predators rights now. And a lot of these books really took off because, yeah, you know, $1,675, just to give you some context. Like, I remember one of these going, I think there was 1 or 2 there, I do remember, right in the sort of $800 range in auctions, and this was about a year ago now. Yeah, maybe this last year, about the same time. So this one's certainly come a long way. You know, should you get in there and buy it over $1,500 now? Probably not. It is a great one. You know, I wouldn't expect any like imminent movie of Aliens and Predators like with the MCU in the next couple years. So I think you look for some lulls in this book in the next year, basically. And hopefully you get it for sure under $1,500. It's a rare one. It's a great one in the CGC 9.8. So, you know, you definitely, if you're an Aliens fan, this is the one to get. Yeah, don't want to recommend getting out there like after a big announcement when this book's really hot. You know, I think you want to wait for a bit of a lull and hopefully aim for under $1,500 for Aliens #1 in the first print in the CGC 9.8. Okay, next one here, really hot book. Get a couple hot ones first. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures #1, yeah, from 1988. This is one I've definitely recommended in the past, as pretty sure it's like the first Ninja Turtles with their 4 colored bandanas, which I think is kind of a pretty seminal moment in comic books. That's how I knew the Ninja Turtles, kind of growing up with the 4 colors. So great cover, great collector item on this one. So prices are just getting pretty insane. Yeah, I saw a newsstand sell for $2,600. In the newsstand, certainly kind of in the late 80s, early 90s, the newsstands get really rare, so there always was a bit of a premium for them, but this is, you know, I've sort of hinted at a newsstand bubble, and, you know, you want to be patient on newsstands right now because some of these prices are just a little bit too insane for kind of a rare barcode. Like, that's all it is, really. $2,600, I think, is definitely going to be an overpay, even though it's the newsstand and a pretty cool book. Saw a direct version, though, go for $599.99. So in the direct, you know, right now, if you really, really wanted this book, that's probably, I would say, a decent deal, but maybe near the higher end of something that you'd want to aim for. Again, with this one, it's really hot, so I think, you know, you wait a couple months here at least, wait for a lull, and maybe you get a direct under 500 again in the CGC 9.8. I would imagine a lot of people noticing this one and getting all of them graded, and maybe a couple new CGC 9.8s pop up in like 2 or 3 months. And that added supply maybe brings down the prices a little. That's what I would kind of aim for with this one moving forward. Okay, next one's a pretty hot one too. Amazing Spider-Man 316. Yeah, the classic McFarlane Venom cover. Pretty much the first Venom cover. Little faces on the issue before this, but basically the first cool-ass Venom cover. So collectible. One sold for $750. This one was through the team too, not on eBay. $750. Yeah, you're seeing some of these. I think one on eBay might have went for, certainly in the newsstand, they're going for ridiculous prices now. I think over $1,500 in the newsstand. But even in the direct, for $750, this is probably one you kind of want to be patient on as well. Venom 2 is coming out next year. There's a lot of promos, like, will this book be $750 a year after the Venom 2 movie? Probably not. I think it could be like, you know, $575, $550 then. So you might want to be patient on this one and wait for that, area of price, sort of the $550 range maybe. However, if you do want it now, Amazing Spider-Man 316 on 9.8, $650 I would kind of aim for right now. But hopefully over time you can maybe get this closer to $500. Great one to collect though. It's just really heated up a lot lately. All right, next one is Hulk #1, the first Red Hulk. Yeah, and the CGC 9.8 is a really cool modern to think about. I think this one too, there are some sort of whispers, I think, that maybe a Red Hulk finds its way in the new She-Hulk series on Disney Plus. That's going to happen, I think, probably in the next year or two. If we'll see if Corona, goes away a little bit. But a Hulk #1, the first Red Hulk in the CGC 9.8. Someone on the team let me know they grabbed one for $235. Yeah, $235. I think is a pretty bang-on fair price, especially if some of these rumors actually start to heat up that Red Hulk might actually be in the next Disney Plus She-Hulk series and stuff like that. I could see this one definitely being over $300. But it's a cool modern to consider in the 9.8. I will say too, if you're on the team out there and you do have some completed listings, let me know in the comments below, like the issues you bought and the prices. It's getting a little bit too hard for me to just keep track of everyone's completed listings when they tell me they buy stuff. So yeah, you could have a good resource hopefully in the comments below of some issues and completed sales as well. Okay, next book here though is a Star Wars Clone Wars #1. Yeah, speaking of hot books, this one I think, maybe reaching that peak that it sort of reached when it initially got super hot on the first rumors. Maybe that was like 6 to 8 months ago. This is the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano, Star Wars Clone Wars #1 in the first print, not the more rarer variant. Saw a couple sell. 1,725 and another for $2,000, like sort of right around when Mandalorian, the first episode, came out. And so these are really hot. I think this is a really cool book. I definitely don't want to dog this book at all, but I do think you want to be patient on it right now. Like, once the Mandalorian season's over, maybe these lull a little bit, and that's probably going to take about a year. So I just don't think the timing's right on this one. These are really expensive moderns, although cool books. Next one too, a Star Wars Clone Wars #1, the variant that's limited to 1,000 copies. In the CGC 9.8, seeing a couple of these sell. One was for $4,000 and one was for $4,200. So for a modern book, when Mandalorian's out and Ahsoka Tano's coming in and everyone's pumped up about her, you're gonna pay a pretty high price for these books, being it's the first appearance of her. So I'd probably be patient on these ones, but yeah, just to know the prices is kind of cool right now. Okay, next one here is a Venom Lethal Protector #1. In the newsstand though, yeah, this one in the kind of direct, there's so many of them, but in the newsstand I think is kind of a cool Venom collector item, absolutely. This is kind of the first solo Venom comic. Venom Lethal Protector in the newsstand, seeing it sell for $209.99, or $209.24 that was. And I think that's actually pretty decent price considering like some of these crazy newsstand prices. This is kind of in the early 90s where newsstands are pretty rare. Yeah, with that like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures newsstand price there, you'd think maybe this one would even go for more because it's a newsstand too. So yeah, I think actually right around 200 is probably pretty decently fair. This is a decent Venom book that hasn't really heated up for the newsstand version of Venom Lethal Protector #1. All right, next one is a Batman the Killing Joke in the CGC 9.8. In the first print, yeah, definitely just a classic Batman book. One I've sort of went on the record, I kind of like some more underfollowed key issues because with the Killing Joke in the 9.8, there's like so many of them, over 3,000 in the 9.8. But I have one still. So in the first print, one sold for $224.99. So that's like bang on fair price. Maybe you get one for $200 if you're lucky. They used to be under $200. Occasionally you get one for close to $150 sometimes. But you don't really see that now with kind of the Joker movie coming out and just in general 9.8's heating up. So yeah, $225 is a decent price. Maybe aim for $200 in Killing Joke if you're looking for a deal. But if you're a Batman fan, a decent affordable one to get and to consider for sure. Okay, a modern one here that's one to keep an eye on, I think. It's a Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen #3. The first full appearance of Punchline. So yeah, this is a pretty cool modern to consider, and I think this one's sort of separating itself from Batman '89, the first print, in price a little bit. I think more people are gravitating to this book, the first full appearance. Although Batman 89, I really love that cover, so they're both really wantable. But saw a couple hella risen sell. One sold for $200, one sold for $204.50, and another sold for $224.99. So yeah, 200 to 225 is kind of the range. I think you can maybe still get one for kind of 190 as well. And this is one, you know, Punchline's still pretty popular right now, still kind of new. I do think maybe in 6 months this one's a little bit closer to 175, maybe even 150. You know, if you really wanted to kind of try to time this one and get a good deal. But right now, yeah, right around 200 I think is fair. And I think this one is, like, if you wanted to just choose one of the Punchline books, I do think Hell Arisen 3 is kind of the one to get. Although 89's cool, I would kind of go with Hell Arisen 3 if you just wanted to choose one. So right around 200 I think is pretty fair for the first full appearance of Punchline. Okay, next book is a really cool one to see sell. And pretty much my exact one here, an Amazing Spider-Man 300 in the CGC 9.8, an old case too. Mine's really nicely centered with nice colors. This one was pretty nicely centered too in the old case. Colors I don't think were as good as mine, yeah. But still cool to see an Amazing Spider-Man 300 in an old case sell in an auction too. Yeah, this one sold in an auction for $3,950. $3,950. I think, you know, whoever purchased that is probably feeling pretty good, considering a couple of these went for like $5,000. I think one went for $5,200. So this book has just really been reaching new highs, and I've mentioned, like, hey, this is my favorite book pretty much. I got one in the old case, I got another one in the new case. Luckily I bought them before they kind of exploded. But this is one I think you wanted to be patient on, certainly like a month or two ago when it was hitting those $5,000 prices. I did say, you know, you don't want to get in there and buy one for $5,000. $3,950, not too bad in this environment. Kind of, you know, Venom 2's coming out. I have mentioned if you want this book now, you wait for lulls before the Venom 2 movie, or wait like a year after the Venom 2 movie, and then that's when you'll probably be able to get the best price. This might be a bit of a lull. Yeah, $3,950. Given that the Venom 2 movie's coming out and this book's great, you know, such a rare one in the CGC 9.8, that's a decent price right now to aim for if you really want this one right now. Okay, and next one's a really cool rare one I saw sell, an X Factor number 6 in the Canadian price variant in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, I've saw one of these pop up in Canada before, the 9.8, and I was pretty tempted. I almost probably would have purchased it if it had perfect centering, but I remember the centering was a bit off, and just to spend that much on the Canadian price variant 9.8, I kind of wanted it to be perfect. This one was looking pretty good though, and it sold for $905. And I'm pretty sure the one I was looking to get was like $800, and that was a year ago about. So yeah, you know what, this is a pretty rare one in the Canadian price variant CGC 9.8. Usually I'm not, you know, I don't really hunt the Canadian price variants very much, but I do have one in the Ninja Turtles Adventures number 1. And so every now and then if something opportunistically pops up in Canada or something that's really rare, I might end up purchasing a Canadian price variant. And this one I would sort of put on that list, yeah. And $905, that is, I think, a pretty decent price for this book, given how rare it is in the 9.8. First full appearance of Apocalypse. Yeah, big key issue in the rare Canadian price variant for $905. That's not too bad at all. Okay, next one's interesting. It's a Star Wars 88. Yeah, Star Wars 88. I grabbed one of these, made an unbox video. It's the first appearance of Lumia, who's basically like the female Darth Vader. You got a pretty cool cover, too, on this one to go with the first appearance. So for an underfollowed Star Wars book, I mentioned, hey, it's pretty great. Seeing one sell for $299 in the CGC 9.8. So I did see this one a couple days ago, and I saw that it was, people were asking $300. I'll buy it now, no best offer. Thought that was pretty high. Now I saw it sell just a couple days later. Yeah, I think, you know, hopefully this one's not really heating up that much based on my video, because it's a pretty long shot that Lumia is going to get into like an MCU movie. But this is a great book. First appearance of kind of the female Darth Vader. Not a lot of them in the 9.8. I think it's like under 60 of them maybe. But $299, you know, $300 we'll call it, I think is a bit of an overpay. This is a cool one. If you really want it, $225 would be my limit, you know, maybe $250. For a Star Wars 88 CGC 9.8, selling for $299 though. Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see that. Okay, next one here is a Thor number 6. And I want to talk about the 1 of 25 Delato variant. I really loved this cover when it first came out, and Occasionally I always saw these, people like, it's like a buy it now for like $400 or something like that, which I know this is a cool cover and it's a rare variant, but it's a modern and that's ridiculous basically for $400. Seeing one though, Thor number 6, this variant, the Del Auto variant, sell in an auction for $105.50. And that's like, I think, one of the greatest prices you're going to get for this book in the CGC 9.8. It did seem like, the pictures weren't that professional and maybe this seller wasn't that well known. So I think this is kind of the very low end of the range for this one. And again, I always see people like $350 or $400, buy it now for this one. But in an auction, $105.50, definitely a price target to aim for if you want Thor number 6. The 1 of 25 Del Auto variant. Yeah, really cool cover, that one. Next one is one I have and recommended in the past, and I really like this one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 51. The cover A, first print. I really like this kind of Team Ninja Turtles cover. This is the first appearance of Jennika, though. Yeah, she was kind of introduced as a Foot Clan soldier, sort of, and Splinter kind of takes her under his wing, and in 95, she eventually becomes the next Ninja Turtle in issue 95, but first overall appearance in 51. I always thought it was a great modern. I got 3 of these in the CGC 9.8 and like 4 or 5, I think, in the Raw. Yeah, this is one I kind of went all in on, thinking that it had potential. One selling for $399.99, so $400 we'll call it. I do think this one's still probably a closer to 300 one without, Jennika really, getting into any kind of pop culture event, and I don't really foresee that happening really quickly or anything. So I think there's going to be some lulls where you might be able to get this one closer to kind of 300, but hey, there's first Spider-Gwen out there in the 9.8 at, $800, $900. This is the first female Ninja Turtle, pretty iconic, both of those books. Maybe this book still has room to run in the 9.8. If this is 400 and Spider-Gwen's 800, maybe this could be 500 or so who knows which way it'll go. I really like the cover though. First appearance of Jennika is a cool one for a modern book, I think. Okay, next one's a cool one, absolutely. Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider number 1. The animation edition I want to talk about. Yeah, this is the animation variant for the Ghost Spider. I do have the Miles Morales animation variant, which is a really cool kind of Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales cover, but this is a very cool Spider-Gwen Into the Spider-Verse cover as well, and it's still cheap. Yeah, still affordable. I think for the price, one sold for $79.99. I think this is one to consider. Right around that price for this animation variant. I feel that it would at least heat up a little bit more when the Into the Spider-Verse 2 movie comes out. Great buy though, and price target to aim for if you want this one. Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider 1, the animation edition for $79.99. Pretty great buy there by whoever that was. Okay, next one's a pretty cool Boom Studios book, I think it is. Something is Killing the Children, number 1. In the CGC 9.8, I saw one of these sell in an auction. Went for $262 in an auction, and I think this book may have been hotter maybe a month or 2 ago, and I'm pretty sure I saw some go over 300. So I do think this one's still kind of hot. There's still people pumped up about this story, and I do hear it's a great read. But a year after this series is over, what's this book going to be at? My inkling is kind of like 200-ish. So, do you want to get in there at 262 maybe if you really like this book? But that's my kind of feeling. Maybe aim for more closer to 200. But 262 is probably about the fair price right now for Something's Killing the Children, number 1, CGC 9.8. Next one's a cool one. Alias, number 1. Yeah, the first Jessica Jones. I've recommended this one in the past on a couple cold lists, and a book that was quite hot during the Netflix series, and I do like the Netflix show. I haven't watched a lot of it, but a pretty cool show, I thought. And one selling though for $195.50. And when I did put it on a cold list, and maybe we did a video like 6 months ago talking about it and recommending it, it was about 200. Maybe if you got a great deal, 175. However, during the Netflix show, Jessica Jones on Netflix, this was like $250. Similar to maybe that Something is Killing the Children book. Like when it was really popular, it was kind of $275, $260. But now after the show, not a lot of people, not a lot of sort of main pop culture promotion for Jessica Jones right now. Right around $200, I think, is a great price. And this is a cool one. Certainly, if you're a fan of Jessica Jones, this is the one to get. Alias #1 for $200 or under, I think, is a great buy in the 9.8 right now. Okay, next one's Dark Days, the Casting #1. This is one I got in the CGC 9.8. Big Batman Who Laughs fan. So this one, you get the first cameo appearance of the Batman Who Laughs. And yeah, in this kind of, I guess it would be a prequel to Dark Knight's Metal. So Dark Days Casting #1, seeing one sell for $94.99. And I'm pretty sure I paid $99.99 maybe for mine, or maybe it was $90, but yeah, that's right around where I paid for mine. This one's kind of staying the same price. It's a cool one if you're a Batman Who Laughs fan. It's a Jim Lee cover as well. The cameo is a bit underwhelming. He's basically a shadow figure, and there's there's 7 or 8 of the Dark Knights, so he's one of the Dark Knights. You can kind of tell it's a Batman Who Laughs because he's got the pointy ears, but it's barely a cameo, but still predates everything else. So this is kind of the first time we get a peek of the Batman Who Laughs. So it's kind of a cool one, I think, at the price. Yeah, under $100 for Dark Days, the Casting #1, CGC 9.8, I think is a pretty great one. Okay, next one's a cool one too that I definitely should have talked about a lot more, I think. It's Ultimate Spider-Man #1. This is the origin of Miles Morales. Yeah, this is a cool one that it really heated up there. Like, there was the Miles fever, and I think, Miles Morales books in general, maybe lulling a little bit, certainly from where they were at that peak. Although, like, CGC 9.8s of the first print really seem to be hanging in there, actually. Right around kind of $900 to $1,000. That they've been stuck around that price for a while. But the second prints, and I think this one here, kind of lulling and pulling back a little to the point where, yeah, maybe you want to consider it. So this one, CN1 selling in auction, $525.56. So peak Miles hype, I think this one was maybe even over 800. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing some sell for over 800 in the CGC 9.8. 525.26, kind of sounding pretty good for the origin. Great cover too, origin of Miles Morales. Yeah, this is one to consider, I think. Certainly, even if it came under 500 and maybe got into the kind of 450 to 475 level, I'd be really tempted, I think, at that price if I saw one kind of pop up in Canada around that price. So, getting into buyable territory for Ultimate Spider-Man #1, origin of Miles Morales. Cool cover on that one, gotta say, yeah. Okay, next one here, it's an Amazing Spider-Man 361 in the newsstand. Yeah, a book I luckily have, and a fantastic book, I think. We got Venom 2 coming out next year, though, so the prices are really heating up. Seeing one of these sell in the newsstand for $770. I purchased mine about a year ago for $405, I'm pretty sure it was. So that gives you an idea of where this one's come now that there's Let There Be Carnage and Venom 2's coming out next year. This is such a great book. Definitely one I recommend having, but you might want to be patient along with a lot of other Venom books right now on this one. A year after Venom 2, is this one going to be $770? Maybe. Could be possibly maybe $650. I think there still could be a better price to get for this one. But the newsstand version, I mean, this is, maybe right now, this is actually possibly a decent price because newsstands are so hot right now. Actually, $770 doesn't seem too bad in this environment, but yeah, maybe you want to be patient on this one. There's a lot of them out there. This is an early 90s book, a lot in the CGC 9.8, even though a little bit more rare in the newsstand. But probably still one to be patient on and either wait for a lull before the movie or wait 6 months to a year after Venom 2's out of theaters and get a better price on something like this. Okay, next one's Dark Hawk #1 in the CGC 9.8. This is pretty much a book of the moment, kind of really hot right now. I'm not too on top of the rumors, but pretty sure like rumors of Dark Hawk, there's going to be an MCU movie or show. Don't know the details, to be honest. But Dark Hawk #1 was a book that I considered purchasing a couple times. There were a few auctions. I was kind of ready to go, but the centering was just a little bit off on some of them, so it kind of annoyed me, and I didn't end up pulling the trigger on any of them. But those were around $125. One selling now for $299.99, so $300 for a book. Literally a month or two ago was $125. Yeah, this is what can happen certainly when there's like rumors and announcements. Who knows? Maybe it's confirmed. Like I'm not too sure. There could be like a Darkhawk movie, 100%. I'm not too sure, but I do think it would be a cool movie. I really like this book at 125 in the 9.8. But given that it is an early 90s book, there's probably a ton of them out there. I bet now that Darkhawk's going to be in the MCU, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 9.8s coming online. I wouldn't pay $300 for this book. Yeah, still hopefully now aim closer to $200, I would say, in the CGC 9.8 for Darkhawk #1. Pretty cool one though, absolutely. Last one here on the list, all right, is an Uncanny XMen 221. Yeah, first appearance of Mr. Sinister. This one was looking cool, really nice colors and centering on this one. Yeah, occasionally you see this book and the colors are just dim, and you know, maybe one will go for a pretty, you know, decent price, but it's kind of because it's, you know, maybe off-centered and the colors aren't the best. This one looking pretty great though in the CGC 9.8 for $340 in an auction too. And you know, this one really about a year ago was about $175. Yeah, that's when I had purchased my newsstand. I have a newsstand version of this for $250 when, you know, the direct versions were kind of $180, $175. They lulled for a bit there. Mr. Sinister coming to the MCU apparently. Rumors happening about 4 or 5 months ago, maybe it was. This one really heating up. Now they're all over 300. This one's not the rarest in the 9.8. There's quite a lot of them. Pretty high 9.8 ratio for the direct. I'd probably aim closer to 300, but as I said, you know, I'm one to actually be a person to pay like an extra 10 or 20% if it just has great centering and great colors, which this one did have. So, you know, it's going to depend on the one you see, but maybe Mr. Sinister, you might want to be a little bit patient and wait for lulls and hopefully get it under 300. I still think it's doable. Yeah, I think we did some pricing videos like a week or like a couple weeks ago where some are going for like 280 still, 290. So yeah, I think you can probably get a better price on Uncanny XMen 221. Great book though, first Mr. Sinister in the CGC 9.8. All right, that's a full list. Yeah, full list and some prices to catch up on. Yeah, just pretty insane, some of these books heating up. I can kind of understand Aliens #1. It's so rare, less than 100 in the 9.8. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures in the newsstand for $2,600, I think is going to go down as an overpay. Star Wars Clone Wars #1, great books. Awesome first appearance, but you know, right in the middle of Mandalorian, everyone and their mother is you know, hyped about Mandalorian and Ahsoka Tano's appearance. It's probably not the time to buy that one either, but yeah, just good to get a good update on some CGC 9.8 prices. So if you haven't already though, I would invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Love to have you on our comic book collecting and comic book investing team. Hit the bell for all the latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. All the links in the description below. But thanks so much for watching today. Yeah, I do like these price update videos, and I really feel like I'm on top of the market after I do the research and make the videos and everything, so feels good. Okay, thanks for watching as always. Really appreciate all the support from the team. Message me on Instagram if you had any questions about whatever it might be. Yeah. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next one.